Hello everyone, my name is Katie George and today I am interviewing Gonzalo Suarez.
Hello.
He is from Lisbon, Portugal. He's lived there his whole life and he's been in the United States for about a month now. So I'm going to ask him a few questions and we're going to learn about his culture and his family.
Sure.
How are you today?
Nice, Katie. Thank you for inviting me for this interview.
Thank you for coming. So my first question is, how do you define family?
That's an interesting question. By the way, I think that there are two topics where we must touch when we speak about family. The first one is the notion of values. And family is really the place where we, firstly, all of us, not only me or you, but everyone, receive their values from our mom, our dad, our grandmother. It does not depend on the person who gave us the values, but they came from the family. The second thing is like the first contact that we have with a human being was with someone from our family.
Yeah.
And in this sense, in the way how our family is, and the love that we have between each member of the family is the way how we will understand the society when we grow up. So this first contact is very important. That's why family plays a really huge role in society.
So how, in addition to family, my next question is, how do you define success? And then how would you say your family has been successful?
I mean, it's hard to define success like in only one sentence. For me, success is not only being able to do one thing really well, but probably it's like an overall of your life. So everyone thinks about having a good career, or having a nice family, or having time to be with our friends, having a social life. Probably success is the inner combination of all these factors. And that's what I think. If you ask to my family, probably my parents, as they have a career and as they have a past, because they have more recognition. But success is hard to say who has more, because it's a lot of what you think of your life and what you want to do with it.
Yeah. Okay. So from there, my next question would be, how important is education to your family? I mean, you've already completed your undergrad and you came here to do your master's, so I'm assuming it's pretty important.
Yes, Kate, it is very important. And in my family, especially, moms are very strict with these things. And having a degree for us is essential. Not only because we will we'll find a job, because the education is not only to find a job and have a normal life. Education is to construct your personality and to help you really playing a role in the world. It's not only about receiving a fee or receiving a salary in the end of the month. That's not why you study. You study to become smarter and to think by yourself.
This keeps freezing. Wait, let me pause it. So you've said that education is important not only to gain a salary, to be able to support the family, to be able to support yourself, but also in order to make yourself smarter. So my next question would be, in your family personally, who do you think really holds the higher status and supports the family?
If we analyze it, because status is something that is given by people outside of us, so we don't give ourselves status. People gave us status because they see in us characteristics that are really outstanding. So in that sense, I would say that my parents, because as they work and have a career, as I said before, they have probably a higher status. But the thing is, like, we should not give that much importance to status, because it's something that changes very fastly. So answering your question, I would say my parents, but I would also add that status is a thing that changes so quickly that it's not concerned that much about it. But of course, people do it.
Yeah, yes. Absolutely. So obviously you said both of your parents, both your mom and your dad, are important and hold high status in your family. So in your culture, are the roles of men and women specifically defined? Is the mom, the woman, expected to do one thing opposed to the father?
Okay, that question is also very clever question, because from my standpoint, so women and men are different in terms of everything. Their physical and also their emotional and their inner conditions and motivations. But the thing is, like, we don't have any kind of defined rules. The only thing that we try to do is to respect the intimacy of each person, and each person, being free, must decide by herself what to do, but also must have in consideration their own conditions. So some things we believe that men do not do, and other things we believe that girls do not do. So it's kind of normal sense to understand it, but it's not like defined rules. Only trying to respect the individuality of every person. Okay. So different rules, but not a strict approach.
Okay, so for example, let's say, like, I'm just curious, in your culture, how in America the idea used to be until recent times is that, like, the mom stays home, raises the kids, cooks, cleans, dad goes to work. Is it like that at all, or does the mom have a job, the dad has a job?
Both have jobs, but the big thing is like the man needs to understand that who really plays the most central role in the family is the mother. For the children, because the children, I mean, I love both my parents equally, but I realize in my mom other things. I love both my parents equally, but I realize that my mom has some characteristics that my father, not because he does not care about us, but he's different. So mom really has this sense of loving that a father usually has, but does not demonstrate in the same way. So it is different in that sense. The man and the woman relation in my family, but both work and both have an important role in their society because they are active people, and they are happy with their lives. But the thing is, like, they are different. This is important to understand.
Awesome, that's a wonderful answer. So our next question is punctuality important to you in your culture? Is it an expectation?
In my culture, we are very, in general, free with punctuality. We don't care a lot about it. But for me, for myself, it's important. I mean, it's not a huge thing because you need to distinguish big things to small things. But small things, as punctuality, make the difference. And so I believe that it's like a kind of respect and discipline by yourself and to other people. So it's important. I will not say, oh, if you cannot be on time once, it's a huge problem. It's not a huge problem. It's a small problem. But it shows a little bit that you are lazy and you are not a very serious person. That's what I think.
Which kind of takes us back to the values that our family instills in us that we talked about at the beginning.
I agree.
Now we're going to talk about more cultural traditions specific to where you're from and how you grew up. So, what is the most important meal of the day?
Probably in my culture, in Portugal, the most important meal is dinner. Usually we do it like more or less late, like 9 p.m. or something, and it is really the place or the situation where we are together. Especially like in Fridays and Saturdays, it's like almost a pre-party meal. So it's very funny because people kind of finish their work and they want how they want to enjoy their free time is like having a meal. Then we have always very good wine in Portugal. That's interesting, and codfish too, and olive oil, very good. And so like those small things really make the difference and create a very nice environment where we celebrate like at the end of the week or something like that. So wow. Dinner for sure.
That sounds pretty interesting. So you were telling me earlier that you also enjoy eating olive oil with your breakfast.
Yes. Because a very big tradition is like in Portugal and more or less in Latin countries in Europe, like Spain, Italy, we have good, and I can say the word good because it's good, olive oil. And we usually, so with small pieces of bread, in the morning we just put it in the olive oil and eat it. It's so tasteful. If you that are listening to this interview come to Portugal, I can show you. You'll like it for sure.
Wow, well, thank you. Maybe I'll try that one of these days. Yeah?
Oh, yeah, you're invited, Katie.
Thank you. So, we're almost done. We're finishing up here. One other question before we really talk about religion is, did you ever live with your grandparents? Or, I mean, I know family's important, and the grandparents are important, the parents, but do you live with them, or is it just another family member and it's not a crucial relationship?
No, I never lived with my grandparents or anyone else from my family besides my parents. But I think the grandparents have that very sweetie rule that they don't need really to give rules. The education is by parents, so usually grandmother and grandfather, at least in Portugal and Europe, are like those kind of friends, older friends, that are just there more or less for fun. That's my experience. So I think they play a really important role in giving that kindness, in being always there, in having more time, because usually they don't have so demanding lives as our parents. So all that kindness is very important, and they play a nice and huge role.
Alright, great. And now it's time for our last question of the night.
Yes.
Religion.
Wow.
My question is, how important is religion to your family? And knowing you, I know your answer is going to be yes. So another part of this question is, since it is important to your family, once you explain that, is this something you'll pass on to your children?
Okay, Katie. Thank you for starting my answer. And it's funny because my family is not different from any other family. So, so we really have two dimensions. The first one is the historical dimension of religion. And this one is a fact. It's not like an opinion, or it cannot change by person. So historically, religion through the ages, through the 5th century, 7th, 8th, by the way, played a huge role in society.
Well, hold on, just 1 second before we continue. Can we let them know what religion you practice?
Yes, I mean, I'm Catholic, but in general terms, now I'll speak in general terms, religion played an important role in society. First, because it was very joined to the power in the earlier ages, and then it started being more far away, but still always had also had an important voice in the way how society is driven, all the religions in general. But this is like the fact. So the second thing that is fundamental for my family and for everyone is to discover what we are and what are we doing here? The big question. What moves us? What are we doing here in Earth? Like, why are we here? What is our purpose? True story, purpose. And that's why the religion also helps us defining us and finding ourselves and the way how we must act. So religion has two. So besides the two big ramifications, then we have other two ramifications. That is, give us the values, because the bad things, some things are right and some things are wrong. It's not that it's a general grey cloud. No, we have right things and we have wrong things, and that's why religion helps us to understand what's right and what's wrong, and also helps us discovering our purpose of life. So of course I will pass it to my family, to my children if I have children, because I think if they receive what I'm experiencing now, they will be richer. Then they can decide by themselves what to do. But I will not waste the construction of my life that came with the construction of my grandfathers, with my fathers. So it's a story, and we cannot cut the story, so I will teach them. But of course, also teaching them that they are free and they can decide by their heads. So that's my opinion of religion.
Alright, well that was awesome. Thank you very much for joining me.
Thank you, Katie. Thank you, Katie.
You're very welcome.
It was a pleasure.
Thank you. Say bye.